All right, so here's an update on what's going on with the Sonya Massey case. Let's get into that right now. Fair use. This is sad right here.
She was just trying to get out the way.
Shadia describes the tragic scene at Sonia's home, having to clean up the blood of her best friend.
Walking into that house, I just felt her. I felt her. Um, I felt like I knew what happened to her immediately. When I get to the kitchen and I see her blood laying on the floor, it broke me down. But my main focus was to not let my niece and nephew see what happened to their mother on that floor.
The autopsy results show that Sonya was shot directly under her left eye at a downward trajectory while on the ground.
That is. This is messed up. She had to clean that up. She had to clean it up. Personnel couldn't do it. She had to clean that up. That is insane. Let's check out what Sonya Massey's son has to say. This just gets worse.
Only other thing, Malachi, you may want to tell them is you think law enforcement came there earlier that day.
Okay, it was an incident that happened earlier that day, and I talked to two officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that shot my mother. I talked to his partner first, then the second officer, that's the one that.
Play that back.
The only other thing, Malachi, you may want to tell them is you think law enforcement came there earlier that day.
Okay, it was an incident that happened earlier that day, and I talked to two officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that shot my mother. I talked to his
Shot the same officer that shot his brother.
partner first, then the second officer, that's the one that I think the one that did that. I talked to them, and they told me that because she was driving herself to the hospital or something. She wasn't even at the house when this was going on, but she was driving herself to the hospital. They told me that they were going to go there.
Let me play this again because he really, the son is talking really low. I can barely hear him.
The only other thing, Malachi, you may want to tell them is you think law enforcement came there earlier that day.
Okay, it was an incident that happened earlier that day, and I talked to two officers or whatever, and I believe that it's the same officer that shot my mother. I talked to his partner first.
That's why I had to play it back. Shot his mother. All right.
Then the second officer, that's the one that I think the one that did that. I talked to them, and they told me that because she was driving herself to the hospital or something. She wasn't even at the house when this was going on, but she was driving herself to the hospital. They told me that they were going to go there to help her, and then this happens.
Yeah. So she was seeking help because she was trying to get help. And it's like Mr. Wilburn said, she was trying to get help. She needed a helping hand, not a bullet to the face.
All right. Now we're going to get into the motive here for what could possibly be the reason why Sean P. Grayson took out Sonya Massey.
This Sonya Massey story.
We know what Grayson did, so we don't need to speak about that. But the first thing he did when he walked up to the door was ask her about her mental health. Well, Grayson has a wife named Isabel. Isabel is a nurse, and guess where she's a nurse at? Capital Community Center, where Sonya Massey had treatment. They say that her and Sonya Massey had an altercation and it just went bad. So Sonya Massey came home. It is alleged that she called her husband. Her husband broke all the windows out of Sonya's car and then waited for the call so that he could be there because, well, apparently he was up. Now, because the first thing he did was ask about her mental health, we're going to assume and allegedly that his wife Isabel leaked information, confidential information.
That makes sense. Why would he ask about her mental health? Does he know her?
Causing her to break HIPAA law. Isabel's husband has these tattoos on his arms that would signify, allegedly, that he's a racist. So I can't see her being any different. See, a racist nurse is to us as black women what the police is to a black man. So when you have a police officer that's racist who's married to a nurse that's racist, allegedly, well, that's a racist power couple. He works from the streets. She works in the medical field. A racist nurse does things like fudge your high blood pressure and say it's not high, and then you go home and a racist nurse will fudge your blood pressure and then tell the people in the files that you are a drug seeker, you are a frequent flyer. She will not control your pain. She is very, very dangerous to us. Well, her and her husband's life has already changed.
All right. And that is basically what is the motive right there? Because you saw the way he was acting, very abrasive, very aggressive towards her, very nasty and rude, and he looked for that hot pot of water to take off the stove as a reason to shoot her and claim self-defense. All right. And like I said before, this just gets bad after one more piece of information that you come across. Okay. Let's look at his let's look at the audio recordings that revealed 2 years prior to the shooting of Sonya Massey, Deputy Sean Grayson was reprimanded for putting false information in his police reports. Let's hear the audio about this. Oh gosh, this is just so stupid. Oh, I don't understand how people can't value their jobs and not hire the wrong people for the job. But like I said, you know, white supremacy eventually hurts the people who promote it, which is racist whites. Let's listen to this. Fair use.
7 months on. How are you still?
Audio recordings reveal Officer Sean Grayson had disciplinary issues 20 months before he shot Sonya Massey. This is Logan County Sheriff's Office talking to him now.
7 months on. How are you still employed by us?
I don't know.
Sean, do you understand what I am saying?
Yes, I do, sir.
And I've had this conversation with you before. If we can't trust what you say and what you see, we can't have you in our uniform. I'm calling you on your integrity. How does that make you feel?
I'm learning from it.
Are you angry with me for it?
I don't.
Do you understand it?
Yes. I don't get angry with this because, one, I have no experience. Before I came here, I had no experience. Two, I wasn't allowed to do this right here. I was not allowed to review my videos.
This is termination. I'm getting goosebumps. This is extremely concerning. Everybody likes you. I gotta be able to trust you. Was this a purposefully done lie?
No. I full-heartedly, I still believed I was on North Madison until you just pulled up Google Maps and showed me in the daytime.
This is gonna.
They're talking to him like he's a child. Wow. White privilege.
Get deeper because you're gonna have a hard time answering some questions here real quick.
Okay.
treating him like he's one of the good old boys. That's basically it. All right. Now, how did Sean get this job with the Deputy Sheriff's Department, even though he got fired from 5 different police departments? Now it's 6 with the death of Sonya Massey. Deputy who killed Sonya Massey had a job reference from fiance's dad, a longtime sheriff's deputy. This is insane. This is insane. I wonder if he did paperwork. He just took him at his word because he's white. That's what I want to know. When Sean Grayson, the former Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy charged with the murder of Sonya Massey, applied to work at the sheriff's office, he had a job reference from his girlfriend's father, a longtime Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy. WCIA requested through the Freedom of Information Act Grayson's personal files. The county released the files for his January 2023 job application Wednesday evening, and his beneficiary designation, along with his emergency contact information. Grayson lists his girlfriend with the last name of Butterfield. WCIA has chosen not to name Grayson's fiance. Her name is Isabel. On his reference for hiring, one is for Scott Butterfield, a former sheriff's deputy, and his girlfriend's father. According to the Facebook post from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, Butterfield retired in 2020 after working for the office for 20 years. After 30 years in law enforcement, Deputy Scott Butterfield has decided to turn in his SCSO equipment and enjoy his civilian life. The Facebook post reads, "Thank you for being a great representative of the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office." Okay. The retired deputy gave a glowing review of Grayson. Mr. Butterfield advising that Mr. Grayson is currently dating his daughter. Lieutenant Wes Wooden wrote in his background investigation of Grayson for the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office in March 2023. Mr. Butterfield describes Mr. Grayson as a mellow, non-confrontational person who has good communication skills. Mr. Butterfield highly recommends Mr. Grayson for the employment with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. He did not look into this man's information. The guy was in the Army. He didn't. Did you do any background check with this dude? Some tells me he just took the man's word for it because he's white. In a letter to the editor of the Muddy Rivers News, Brenda Butterfield, Scott's mom, said Scott, to be father-in-law, who is as close as Sean as a father can be. 911 calls before Sonya Massey's shooting include one from her mother asking the officers not to hurt her. Grayson's first day with the Sangamon County was May 1st, 2023. Grayson was getting married in October, his attorney said during his pretrial detention hearing earlier this month. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell said in a statement he prefers recommendations from law enforcement officers he knows. Grayson's personal file includes references from a person I know well. Campbell said in the statement attached to the FOI, "Normally I seek such references and give more credence to those from individuals I trust and know to have integrity. Their insights are invaluable making informed hiring decisions." Springfield Police Chief ashamed over deputy that killed Sonya Massey. Sorry, those are the blue Texas. Grayson's worked at 5 law enforcement agencies before Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. Campbell said he was not aware of any problems with Grayson from those agencies before he was hired. Records obtained by the WCIA showed he was investigated twice for his conduct while working at the Logan County Sheriff's Office. How could you not have known? You didn't do your due diligence. Among the comments from his prior employers was that he needed more training. Campbell said in a statement, "This is not unusual for deputies with Grayson's experience and his standard procedure for Sangamon County deputies." Grayson was subsequently sent to a 16-week academy training requirement for all new and lateral transfer deputies in our office. WCIA made attempts to reach out to the Butterfield family to comment prior to the publication of this story, but has not heard back from them yet. They're embarrassed. They are embarrassed. There's so much dirt on this dude. You did not look up. That's what I find astonishing. I really do. And guess what? The sheriff, Grayson's father-in-law, wants to say. Guess what he wants to do? Instead of resigning, he wants to do this.
It's responsible and solely responsible for this.
One of his deputies shot and killed Sonya Massey, but he says he shares no responsibility. Good evening. I'm
It's a lie.
Murano.
And I'm Jennifer Roscoe. Nearly 1 month ago, former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson shot Massey in her home. He's charged with her murder.
That's right. And Campbell said that there was nothing in Grayson's background or record that would have shown that he could have snapped, quote, snapped like that during this situation at Sonya Massey's home. The body camera footage showed Grayson, who had been with the department for a bit over a year, escalating the situation quickly after Sonya Massey started to move a pot of water. He then said he would shoot her in the face, and then he shot her in the face. Records obtained by WCIA showed, though, that Grayson had a history of not following orders and ignoring protocol. That was especially true in Logan County, where recordings showed a superior officer questioning how Grayson was even still employed by the department after just 7 months on the job. Campbell told me today that information that reporters were able to get with a quick FOIA request and a 5-day wait was not in the application file for Grayson.
No excuse. Why didn't you guys dig for this? I bet you if Sean Grayson was black and Sonya Massey was white, this would never have been a reality. You would have worked your damnedest to make sure that person was right for the job. If it was a black person wanted to sign up to be a sheriff's deputy, you would make sure if that person was qualified. But because Sean Grayson was white, it was all right.
FOIA, any agency at all, we rely on professional courtesy, that when we call and we ask questions about a potential applicant, that they're truthful with us and they give us any documents that would help us decide whether or not they should be employed here.
You trust them at their word?
Not. Unfortunately, we did not receive those from Logan County.
It's insane.
The county released Grayson's personnel file last night. It included references from both Grayson's time in the Army and also from Scott Butterfield, a longtime deputy at Sangamon County who retired in 2020, and the father of Grayson's fiance. Campbell today told me, though, that that particular reference did not give Grayson an edge in this application process. Now, Massey's death has sparked calls for police reform and also sparked calls for Campbell's resignation.
He has to resign. He has to resign. How did you make such a stupid mistake like this? It's insane. Absolutely insane. The man had 2 DWIs. All right, 2 DUIs, I'm sorry. And he was removed from the Army for serious misconduct. They don't go too deep into that. But that should be a red flag. Police is a paramilitary organization. So if you have some sort of discharge that isn't honorable, they should be looking into it. But like I said, because he is white, it's all right. It's exactly what it's about. So do you think the Butterfields have any shame? Do you think? Any type of remorse or hope that Sean P. Grayson faces the consequences for his actions? What do you think? So, here it is. Letter to the editor. Does anyone care about Sean Grayson's family or what horrifying reality they're dealing with? Really? Really? This is unreal. What could I say? You know what type of people we're dealing with here. First, to the protesters. Oh, and this is from Brenda Butterfield. First, to the protesters. What are you protesting? Sean is in jail, charges are filed, trial date to be set, and punishment to be applied. Well, the thing is like, we don't know if he's going to, like, be going to jail, because we know how white privileges work, how white privilege works in in law enforcement, and we have a two-tier justice system. And even worse, uh, if Trump wins the election, there's a chance that Trump may pardon, Sean P. Grayson, because Trump is for cops being immune to prosecution, and he feels bad for dirty cops who have to face the consequences for their actions, whether it be going to jail, losing their pension, and losing their family because they chose to apply racism or just be stupid and think they were above the law, especially towards minorities. Okay? Sean is not going anywhere. Please knock it off wearing out your sweat glands. Really, lady? So please take your signs and go home and just be humans, not the amusement or disgust to the public. Point number 2. Does anyone care about Sean's family, what horrifying reality they're dealing with? What about his fiancée he was about to marry in October? She's an innocent young woman who is also unfairly being prosecuted. Really? Really? I don't know. She worked at the clinic that Sonya Massey goes to get treatment for her mental illness. They're already saying that there was a possibility, a damn sure good possibility, that Sean P. Grayson's fiance and Sonya Massey got into a little spat, and that's what led Sean to be over at Sonya Massey's residence and unalive her. Does anyone care about the destruction of her life? She is left to deal with an emotional death. Sean's future-in-law families, a to be father-in-law who is as close to Sean as a father can be, a future mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law who is Sean's friend. You're making me sick, lady. Future grandparents who love Sean dearly and still do. Shock, disbelief in reality, but an undying support for Sean. The past cannot be relived. The future is unknown. We only have each day to pray without ceasing. Shut up, lady. These are the type of women. This is the type of women who represent what it was like for blacks during slavery or blacks during Jim Crow. This is the type of demon that would be okay with blacks being hung on a tree during picnic. They dismember the black victims and they would eat them. They would cook their meat and eat them. I'm talking about cannibalism here. And they would think it's perfectly fine. The Sheen everyone desires to hate and persecute is not the Sheen we have all known and loved. We will always support Sheen. Judge not, lest ye be judged. No man or woman is without sin. There is a final judgment for all. Proud grandmother to be of Sheen Grayson. This disgusting racist demon in old flesh wants to gaslight and think her happiness, her son-in-law, should be free after what he did to Sonya Massey. Tim Scott would say, America is not a racist nation. Too bad it is. This is the demonic crap that we have to deal with. And unfortunately, if Trump wins the presidency in November, or if the Kamala wins the presidency in November, you're going to be dealing with this, because what presidency did this happen under? This happened under the Biden-Harris administration. Okay? So if Kamala Harris gets in, she's not going to put in a hate crime bill to protect black people from these type of incidents from happening again. She's not going to do it. She doesn't care. All right? All right. Rasheem Carter was a black man that was murdered by racist white coworkers, dismembered. Where is the hate crime bill for that? She's not going to do anything. A black man went to the police department down south where he worked. You know, he worked in the South, okay? He went to the police department to get help. They didn't help him. He ended up disappearing, and his family found his remains. Okay? This was under the Biden-Harris administration. Once again, they had 3 years to get a hate crime bill to protect blacks from these type of incidents. Nothing has changed. Nothing has happened. So whoever you vote for, black people are going to have to find a way to pull together, have their own towns like Tulsa, have their own Black Wall Street, have their own police force, heavily trained, heavily armed, heavily filled with people with morals, black people behind badges who are morally upright, and be willing to go to war with white supremacy. Because when Trump gets into office, he's ready. I told you, those cops are going to be shielded from prosecution. And maybe that's what's necessary for black people to get it together, to understand they're in a race war. And they've always been in a race war. Okay? They just weren't serious enough to notice it. When it came to the prison, the hip hop, the entertainment industry, and the prison pipeline, where they pump all that toxic music into the neighborhoods of single mothers, gang-infested environments, where they know the kids are going to be more prone to joining gangs, getting locked up, going to prison, filling up those private prisons. When it comes to feminism and single motherhood, when it comes to the drill music, when it comes to the music just talking about, you know, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B talking about sex all the time, then you wonder why your kids want to have premarital sex and be single moms. Okay? When it comes to my body, my choice and self-deletion of babies, and the abortion in the black community topples black on black crime. Okay? When you have entertainers speaking on serious issues for black people, Malcolm X said, where do you have it in the white community where you have white entertainers speaking on serious issues that affect white people? Where do you have Mexicans and Hispanic entertainers speaking on important political matters for Latin and Mexican people? Malcolm X was right. They already got blacks by the balls through the civil rights. It was just meant to integrate blacks into the white dominant society system, and black businesses suffered thanks to the Trojan horse of Martin Luther King Jr., who was a boule sellout, working for the communists, working for the Skull and Bones. And the boule is strong today, making sure blacks are always the bottom class. I'll say it again. You've had black Democrats for decades, for years, 60 years, and they haven't done nothing because they're bought and paid for by their white Democrat counterparts. That's why in all these Democrat cities, they're just hellholes. And you don't have the Republicans coming over to try and fix things because the black Republicans are also bought by their white Republican counterparts. Their job is to be an attack dog and to say the things that their white racist Republican counterparts cannot say. So this is a real race war here. And you also have to fight not only to have a good black town, a good black community that's thriving, that's a place of builders, has their own police force, their own up-to-date schools, All right, you're gonna have to fight those Klansmen with black skin, that will want you under white supremacy. You know, the Klansmen like Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, Anthony Bryan Logan. You know, the black conservatives that just want to serve white supremacy. I'll tell you something like the shooting of Sonya Massey was justified, or the shooting of Sonya Massey was not about racism, or that white people get gunned down by the police more than black people, to take the focus off of Sonya Massey. That's basically what it's about. That is basically what it is about. And the Democrats are working hard, telling you, vote for Kamala Harris. You want to vote for somebody that cost investigators millions of dollars because she tampered with evidence. You want somebody to be the president of the United States who's a crooked prosecutor and tampers with evidence to prevent the wheels of justice to work for the people who are oppressed. You want somebody in the office of president who said Ukraine, who is led by Vladimir Zelensky, a neo-Nazi white supremacist who kills journalists and anybody who opposes him, whose country is known for child trafficking and illegal organ harvesting and white supremacy. You want that person who supports him, Kamala Harris, in the White House? But Trump is just, yeah, we know about Trump. We know about Trump. How he downplayed the white supremacists who supported him. How the fact that when he had casinos that he told all the black people to move off the floor when he came around. How you had a big problem with blacks living in his apartment, living in his apartment rentals. And he was forced to have blacks, to be okay with blacks living in his apartment rentals. We know about that. But I'm telling you about the Democrats who pretend to be the friends of black people. Like Malcolm X says, the fox. You already know about the wolves, the Republican. But the fox, the Democrat, for some reason, blacks have a really short memory when it comes to Democrats. They're the ones that make sure blacks have the most abortions, while the whites have the highest birth rates. Do you not see that? That is the only reason why they wanted Roe v. Wade overturned, because whites were now having more abortions than blacks. And Mary Miller, I believe her name is Mary, her first name is Mary. She had the podium and Trump was right behind her. And she said the overturning of Roe v. Wade was a victory for white life. What happened to All Lives Matter? What happened to that? Trump was right there behind her on that stage, right there, smiled and didn't say a damn thing. You can't tell me Trump is not racist. You can't tell me. You cannot tell me to save your life. I will not believe you. Especially when he said that nonsense about black jobs. Migrants are coming to take black jobs. What is a black job? Oh, black jobs are all jobs. You don't say, is racism right there. It's stupidness. Black jobs are all jobs. Then it's no such thing as a black job. It's jobs. Just say migrants are coming to take jobs from Americans. That's common sense. What he thinks is that white people don't work as security guards and warehouses and bus drivers. Trump is a clown. He's not a common person. That's the thing that kills me. People want to think a man who sits on a golden toilet, who's never known struggle, never known what it's like to work 2 jobs, to just keep yourself afloat, you think he's for the common people? This man got corrected by journalists because he lied about saying he owned the whole building, but he only owned 50% in shares for a building. That journalist called him out, and for 20 years, Trump was sending her harassing notes, writing her harassing letters. 20 years. That's straight weirdo crap. And I'm sorry, the stuff that Republicans let slide with Trump, they're weird. I'm a registered Republican, and I'm saying that. They're weird. Straight up. And so is Kamala Harris. Say that. I will say that. He's also, but I'll go back to Trump one more time about saying about he's weird. The fact that he want to say, well, Kamala Harris, she's trying to pass as a black woman. Yet you're trying to pass as a black guy because you got arrested for sleeping with a porn star. And the fact that you got a mugshot and you're selling nasty looking sneakers. You think you're black. That's what he thinks of you. That is racism right there. He thinks only blacks, he can only identify with blacks by having a mugshot and thinking, yeah, I'm down to, I got the ops. That is disgusting. He is racist. It's the same thing Joe Biden did, okay, when he could bring anybody, any minority who's intelligent and knows about the struggles of African Americans to talk about what the issues they're dealing with in the current era. He brings on, who Joe Biden brought on? Cardi B, the one who produced WAP. Cardi B. Are you crazy? That just shows what they think of black people. Oh, and yeah, when he was running to get for president, Joe Biden, you know what he promoted? Get your booty to the pole. Get your booty to the pole. Black women dressing as strippers. Get your booty to the pole. What do you think he thinks of black women? How do you think he thinks of you? Both sides are racist. That's what I said in the last video. Choose your racism for this November. Choose how you like your racism. Either way, you're getting a racist, fascist dictator. That's who you're getting. And that's what I'm saying. And Trump said, people thinking about, don't worry, if Trump gets elected, and he doesn't do right, we got to make him do right because he got to get reelected the second time. No. People were not listening to him. They were selectively listening to Trump. He said, when he was talking about the Christians, the ones who blew it, okay, he was saying, vote for me again, Christians. Vote for me again. Don't worry, it's going to be fixed. If I get elected, there'll be no more voting. You know what that means? He's going to set it up in a way that voting will be obsolete. Just like Zelensky right now. He can't get out of office because he doesn't want to. He made it that he suspended elections. That's what Zelensky did. He gets in, damn sure there's not going to be any more elections. And things I've heard about Project 2025, Agenda 47, was basically the same thing. People are really going to have a hard time. There are some things you'll be okay with it. There's some things you will not be okay with it. And I guarantee you, for minorities, it's not going to be well. It's not. It's going to suck. Especially for people who like unions. Unions protect workers. Without unions, bosses could do whatever they want to you, pay you a crappy wage, and there's nothing you could do about it. Project 2025 wants to take that away, take away unions. And public education. So like I said, whoever gets in office, blacks, Americans, blacks, period, have to come together, pool their resources, build up a strong police force, a strong militia, strong education, schools, top of the line materials, books, computers, because it's going to be war. The race war is going to be up in our faces. And these white nationalists, they love it. They love it. But I don't understand about black Republicans. They can't see it. The man had a dinner with Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, white nationalist, white supremacist, Nick Fuentes. But he had dinner with Kanye West. Kanye West is a clown. The man who wanted to name his album from Donda to Hitler. But he couldn't do that, so he had to name it Donda. Nick Fuentes, the man who hangs with Ali Alexander, the man who was caught with child abuse charges. Nick Fuentes got his own evil. His relationship with a man named Catboy. Look that up. You'll see what I'm talking about. And you look into the dirty deeds of Catboy. These Republicans and Democrats, they hang out with some sick individuals. And like I said, once again, black people are going to have to pull themselves together and go to war. With resources, with education, not going head to head unless you have to, but building up, having towns, law enforcement, and resources and allies. So they need the most, need allies. Allies who are African, Haitian, Jamaican, because this is going to be war. This is not a game. All right, I think I've said enough. Check me out on Rumble, Radical Thoughts 791. You can see all the stuff that is censored that I can't show on YouTube. Check me out on Spotify, Hard Talk Radio, live in 4K. All right. Anything you want to know about this channel is in the description box. There's other links there that you could check out. Later.